Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive, where we take all kinds of research and we turn it into something you can actually use in your life.
Exactly.
So today, we're diving into something I think everyone listening has wondered about at some point.
For sure.
How do we find joy
Yeah.
when life is just like a constant obstacle course?
That's a big question.
It is a big question.
And it has implications for all of us.
Yeah.
Luckily, we have some great source material to unpack it.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at a talk from Elder Moisés Villanueva.
Okay.
And this talk was given at the October 2021 General Conference.
Okay.
For those who don't know, it's a big twice-yearly gathering
Right.
for members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yes.
And Villanueva's talk really stood out to me because he doesn't shy away from the hard stuff.
That's right.
It's raw and honest and so insightful.
Right.
Especially when you consider the context.
Yes.
He starts off by sharing a deeply personal experience within just 5 weeks. He lost his brother, his sister, and his brother-in-law.
Wow. I can't even imagine.
I know, it's incredible that he shared something so vulnerable.
Yeah. It really does set the stage for everything else in the talk.
For sure.
Because he's speaking from a place of deep pain, grief.
Yeah.
But also such strong faith and hope.
It's like he's saying, I've been through the fire,
Right.
but there is light on the other side.
Exactly. And that's what we need to hear sometimes.
Yeah.
And one of the first things he does is connect his own experience to the experience of Mary when Lazarus died.
Oh, yeah.
When Christ weeps with Mary, even though he knows he's about to raise Lazarus from the dead.
Yeah, that's always stuck with me.
Yeah.
Why would Jesus weep if he knew Lazarus was coming back?
Right. That's the question that Villanueva explores.
Okay.
He says Christ's compassion wasn't just about that moment,
Okay.
but about the universal experience of grief, that human pain that goes beyond death.
So even though he knew the bigger picture, Jesus still felt Mary's sadness.
Exactly. And I think that's such a powerful message for us.
Yeah.
Especially when we're going through tough times.
For sure.
It's a reminder that our pain is valid, our emotions are real, we're not alone.
Like he's saying it's okay to grieve, to hurt.
Yes.
You don't have to pretend to be strong.
Exactly. You don't.
All the time.
But Villanueva doesn't stop there.
Okay.
He goes on to share a story about a missionary.
Okay.
Who went through an unbelievable series of trials.
Wow.
First, he finds out that his mother and his younger brother died.
Oh, no.
In a terrible accident.
Oh, wow. Imagine getting news like that while you're serving a mission,
Away from home.
So far away.
Yeah. And then if that wasn't enough.
Oh, no.
This missionary is attacked, robbed of his bike, and stabbed.
Oh, my gosh. Are you serious? That's like straight out of the Book of Mormon.
It really is.
Wow.
But here's the amazing part.
Okay.
When Villanueva and his companion went to visit the missionary in the hospital, he was smiling.
Wow, that is remarkable.
Most people would be devastated.
Yeah.
And so this is where Villanueva really focuses on choosing joy,
Right.
even in the face of so much suffering.
Great.
He pointed out that this missionary, after all that,
Yeah.
still made the choice to find joy and keep serving.
So it's not about ignoring the pain.
No.
It's about rising above it.
Yes, exactly. And Villanueva uses this to show the power of perspective.
Okay.
He asks, are we going to focus on the negative, or are we going to choose to see the good?
Even when it's hard.
Even when it's hard.
It's like that quote,
Yeah.
life is 10% what happens to you.
Yes.
And 90% how you react to it.
I love that quote. That's exactly what Villanueva is saying.
Yeah.
He's giving us a framework for that 90%.
Okay.
A way to approach hard times that lifts us up.
It makes us stronger.
And speaking of powerful examples,
Okay.
he then brings up Nephi.
Ah, Nephi, the never give up guy.
Exactly. Now it's easy to kind of skim over Nephi's trials because they're so epic.
Yeah, they're big.
But let's appreciate what he went through.
Right.
Returning to Jerusalem.
Yeah.
To get the brass plates. Dealing with his brothers.
Oh, his brothers were a handful.
Always negative.
Yeah.
His bow breaks.
When they needed food.
Right when they needed it.
Desperately.
Building a ship in the desert.
Oh, yeah. And don't forget, they tied him up on that ship.
That's right, they did. His own brothers.
Yeah.
And yet Nephi says something so powerful.
Okay.
He says, having seen many afflictions in my life,
Yeah.
I have been highly favored of the Lord.
Like he's not just going through the motions,
That's right.
but he's shaping his experience with faith.
Exactly. It's not about just accepting whatever happens. It's
Right.
about actively choosing to see the good,
Okay.
even when it's tough.
So we can murmur like Laman and Lemuel,
Yes.
Or we can focus on the blessings like Nephi.
Exactly. And I think that's the question Villanueva wants us to ask ourselves. Okay.
How are we reacting to our own challenges?
Yeah, are we letting them define us?
Are we letting them control us?
Or are we using them to grow?
Right. To transform.
Okay, so how do we make that shift?
Yeah.
How do we go from murmuring to rejoicing?
Villanueva offers a solution.
Okay.
He says one of the most powerful things to overcome worry and despair is service.
That's interesting. I would think when you're going through a hard time, the last thing you'd want to do is help someone else.
You would think so.
Yeah.
But Villanueva says that's actually when we receive the most.
Okay.
When we give.
Okay.
He shares his own experiences of finding solace and strength by helping others.
Even when he was grieving.
Even in his own grief.
Wow. So it's about taking the focus off of ourselves and putting it on something bigger.
Exactly. And he quotes President Gordon B. Hinckley, who once said, "The best antidote for worry is work."
Oh, I love that.
The best medicine for despair is service. The
best cure for weariness is the challenge of helping someone who is even more tired.
I love that. It's such a good reminder.
It is.
That sometimes the best way to heal is to help someone else heal.
That's right.
It's about shifting our perspective.
Right.
Getting out of our own heads.
Exactly.
And realizing we're all in this together.
We are.
So even in the dark times, we can find light by helping someone else.
Absolutely. And Villanueva takes this one step further. He brings it back to Christ. He reminds us that even after John the Baptist was killed,
oh, wow,
Christ kept ministering to people.
So even when he was grieving, Christ chose to serve others.
Exactly. And I think that's a powerful lesson for all of us.
It is. It really makes you think.
It does.
This deep dive is already amazing. What are your thoughts so far?
What's so interesting to me is how Villanueva weaves together all these stories.
Yeah.
His loss, the missionary, Nephi, Christ, into one message of faith and perseverance.
Yeah, it really is like a tapestry, isn't it?
It is.
Like each thread, each story adds another layer.
Adds depth.
To the message.
Exactly. And he's not saying there's only one way to deal with trials.
Right.
He knows everyone's journey is unique.
Yeah, what works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly.
Right, it's not about pretending our problems aren't real.
That's right.
Or comparing them to others.
It's about finding the tools and perspectives that speak to us.
Yes.
And using them to move forward.
In a healthy way.
Yes, in a way that helps us heal.
I love that it's like he's giving us a toolbox.
Yes.
Full of different ways to cope.
And we get to choose which ones work best for us.
And he's not saying this is easy.
No, not at all.
Or that we won't have days when we struggle.
Of course not. Life is unpredictable.
Messy.
And grief and disappointment, setbacks.
They're all part of life.
They are a part of it.
Yeah, but even in those moments, we feel overwhelmed.
When it all feels like too much.
Villanueva says we still have a choice.
We do.
We can wallow. Or we can reach out, we can serve, we can find meaning in the pain.
And sometimes just changing our focus.
Okay.
Looking outward instead of inward.
Yeah.
Can change everything.
That's like that saying, you can't keep your heart open and your fists clenched.
Yes.
When we open ourselves up to service, to compassion, to connection.
That's how we make space for healing.
And hope.
And hope, exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes Villanueva's message so powerful.
It's not just about surviving.
It's about thriving.
Yes, about finding joy and peace.
Even gratitude in the middle of challenges.
And he doesn't make it sound like some mystical thing.
No, he makes it practical.
He does.
He tells us to look for chances to serve.
To look for people to help.
And this isn't just about being nice.
No.
It's about understanding.
That we're all connected.
Yeah, that helping others can actually heal us too.
It's like that quote from the Dalai Lama.
Oh, which one?
If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. Yeah. If you want to be happy, practice compassion.
I love that.
It's a reminder that true happiness comes from connecting to something bigger than ourselves.
That gives us purpose.
Purpose and meaning.
Yeah, this is all so inspiring.
It is.
But for our listeners, the big question is, how do we do this?
That's the question.
How do we take these teachings and use them in our own lives?
Right.
How do we put this into practice?
Well, I think Villanueva would say it starts with a simple question.
Okay.
How can I be a source of light for someone else today?
It's so simple, but so powerful.
It is.
Instead of focusing on our problems.
Yes.
What if we focused on blessing others?
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, what if even in our pain, we tried to reach out, help out, be a light for someone?
Be the light in the darkness.
That's where the real magic happens.
That's where we find joy.
Even in trials.
Even in the hard times.
It's not about pretending everything's okay.
No, not at all.
It's about Knowing that even when things are dark,
even in the darkest moments,
there's still hope.
Yeah.
And gratitude.
Gratitude.
And human connection.
Exactly. And that's what matters.
Yeah, so as we go through this week,
let's remember that.
Let's all look for ways to serve.
To be a light.
And remember that even small acts of kindness,
even the smallest thing,
can make a big difference.
They can change the world.
That's right. So until next time, keep diving deep.
Keep diving deep.
And keep spreading that light.
We'll see you then.
And he's not saying that this is easy.
Oh, no.
Or that there won't be days, when we really struggle.
Well, life is, it's messy.
Unpredictable.
Yeah, and, grief and disappointment, setbacks.
Those are all part of the human experience.
They are a part of life.
But even in those moments, when we feel overwhelmed.
When it feels like too much.
Villanueva says we still have a choice.
We always do.
We can, wallow in it.
Yeah.
Or we can reach out. We can serve.
Right.
We can even find meaning in that pain.
And sometimes just, shifting our focus, looking outward instead of inward, can change everything.
It's like that saying.
What's that?
You can't keep your heart open and your fists clenched at the same time.
Yes, exactly. When we open ourselves up to service and compassion.
Connection.
Yeah, that's when we make space for healing.
For hope.
And hope. Exactly.
And I think that's what makes Villanueva's message so powerful.
Yeah, it's not just about, getting through it.
It's about thriving.
Yes, finding joy and peace.
Gratitude in the middle of it all.
And he doesn't present this as some kind of, mystical state of being.
Right. It's not some unreachable thing.
He grounds it in action.
Practical steps.
He encourages us to look for ways to serve.
Help others.
Yes, especially those who are carrying heavier burdens.
And this isn't just about, being a good person.
No.
It's about realizing we're all connected.
Right.
And that helping others can heal us too.
It's like that Dalai Lama quote.
Oh, yeah. Which one?
If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion.
I love that quote.
It's beautiful.
It really is.
It reminds us that, true happiness
Okay.
comes from connecting with something bigger than ourselves.
Somebody with meaning.
Exactly. That gives us purpose.
Okay, this is all very inspiring, but for our listeners, I think the question is...
Yeah, how do we do it?
Yeah, how do we take these teachings and apply them?
Put them into practice.
How do we make this real?
Well, I think Villanueva would say it starts with a question.
Okay, what is it?
How can I be a source of light for someone today?
It's so simple.
It is.
But so profound.
Instead of focusing on, our own struggles,
Yeah.
What if we tried to bless someone else?
Even when we're hurting.
What if we reached out, helped out, we're there for someone?
That's where the magic is.
That's where the joy comes from.
Even in the middle of trials.
It's not about pretending everything is fine.
Right, it's about acknowledging that even in the darkness.
Yeah, even in the tough time.
They're still good.
There's still hope.
There's still connection.
Exactly. And that's what gets us through.
So as we go through this week,
let's remember that.
Let's look for ways to serve.
To be a light for someone.
And remember that even the small acts of kindness,
the little things,
can make a big difference.
They really can.
It's not about grand gestures.
No, it's the everyday moments.
You're right. It's about offering a listening ear.
Helping someone in need.
Smiling at a stranger.
Just making that connection.
Those things can really add up.
They can create a ripple effect.
Kindness is like a boomerang.
I like that.
It comes back to you.
And I think that's what Villanueva is asking us to do.
Yeah, to be kind.
To make service a part of our lives.
To see the world with compassion.
To make a difference.
Even in small ways.
Because in those moments of connection, of giving and receiving,
that's where we find the joy.
The real joy.
That deep down joy.
The kind that sustains us through the tough stuff.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
yes,
I want to leave our listeners with a question.
Okay, I like it.
How can you apply these principles?
Of focusing on blessings and service.
To your own life and to the lives of those around you.
What can you do today to be a light for someone else?
Yeah.
Yeah, what can you do to, lift someone else up?
It's so easy to get caught up in our own struggles.
It is, especially when things are hard.
But what if we just, shifted our focus?
To others.
Yeah. What if even in our pain, we looked for ways to bless someone else?
I think that's what Villanueva would say.
Yeah.
That's where the real magic is.
That's where we find that real joy.
Even in the trials.
Even in the hard times.
It's not about, pretending that everything's okay.
No, it's about recognizing that even in the darkness,
even in the tough times,
there's still hope, there's still gratitude.
There's still connection.
And that's what matters.
And that's what gets us through.
So as we go through this week,
let's all remember that.
Let's look for those opportunities to serve.
To be a light.
To be a light for someone else.
And remember that even the small acts of kindness,
even the smallest things,
can make a big difference.
A world of difference.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time.
Keep diving deep.
Right
and
on.
Keep spreading that light.